Yo, what's good? It's me, your guy, all the way from Bed-Stuy, Habo, and this is the Art Block in a brand new format. And this was inspired by a mutual, Alicia Renice. You should check her out on YouTube. She recently uploaded a audio journal, and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool. It's very casual, it's laid back, and I feel like I can do something like this." And I figured, why not implement this to the Art Block because I haven't been able to really record episodes due to the fact that it does take a lot of effort and energy to not only be on camera, but to also coordinate with people that are either really busy or they're just playing with my time. And I feel like this is something that you can just casually put on while you're, working, walking around, exercising, cleaning, or you just relaxing or whatever the case may be without having to focus on the screen or be staring at your phone or whatever. There will be a visual. I plan to have like a visual aspect just in case, just for the fun of it. Time lapse videos of past and maybe even current or new art, and which would make it more central to the theme of the art block, right? Art. But yeah, I just want to be able to keep up with hot topics in the industry and things that are going on in my life and how, my personal life can correlate to the art that I make. And that's specifically what this first initial or brand new episode is going to be about. And it's difficult because I feel like what I'm about to talk about is something that we celebrate very often, and I feel no one really questions because this sort of thing comes from prolific people in our history, prolific artists in our history. And that question or the theme here is, does art have to come from a place of suffering? Do we as artists, as Black artists, always have to tap into our trauma, past trauma, ancestral trauma to create something that gets celebrated? And on that same note, why does the trauma get celebrated more than the joy? You know? And it's something that I want to break away from. I think it's very important to tell the stories that make us, right? I do believe that it's important to tell the stories that others can resonate with, so they can see that it's possible to overcome whatever struggle that initial sorrow was. Because when you look at sinners, while it's not trauma, PORN, I don't know if that's safe to say on YouTube anymore. I don't deem it to be that kind of vibe, but it does come from some deep rooted ancestral trauma, right? I mean, they have the KKK in there. There's Remick, who's also like this, white ally, secretly kind of honestly trying to appropriate everything, even though he's trying to be chill. It's like he's a villain, you know what I mean? And then there's just other dynamics and situations and relationships in that film that permeate our community even to this day, even though we've overcome so much. That film was one of the biggest films of the year, and it was rooted in trauma, right? And I'm not saying that's bad. Like I said, I do believe that it's important to tell the stories from our past, present, and reflect on those issues and be able to uh you know move past them, or educate people on where we come from. I think that's important. Like I'm not saying like let's get rid of everything. Like I'm never one of those types of people where it's just like one way or another with specific topics. I feel as if there should be a balance between the trauma and the joy, and I would love to see more Black joy. Case in point, Iyanu on Cartoon Network is a wonderful show that I still need to finish and still want to do a review of. But it's a show. It's like Avatar, but African. If I had to simplify, if I had to, break it down to the most simplest comparison, it's basically Avatar, but if it was Nigerian. And it's such a fun show because it's not something rooted in like, oh look, here comes the white man. You know, it's not. I don't know why I did the accent. Forgive me, but it's not one of those things where it's like, oh no, here comes the white man. Here comes the colonizer. It's just like, oh, we're fighting monsters and we're trying to protect our homeland from, you know, witchcraft and demons and stuff like that, which is fun. It's cool. You know, we don't really get to see a lot of shows, let alone cartoons like that. Not saying that we don't have other shows out there. Craig of the Creek also is an amazing cartoon. But I feel like the stuff that gets highly favored and celebrated is usually rooted in some sort of pain and violence and suffering that we don't need to focus on. And it sucks, you know, because when that happens, it feels as if the the experience that we have collectively as a community across the diaspora, right? Whether you're Black American, whether you're African, or you're from other parts of the world, and you share our skin color and our skin tone and heritage, I feel like it puts us in this sort of like fishbowl or zoo type of scenario, right? It's like you you run the, you want. Oh wow, I'm stuttering. This is why this is casual, guys. Like it's chill. You see, I'm a human being. But anyway, you run the risk of people not understanding the message and just kind of, I don't know, I can't even find the words for it, but it just feels awkward sometimes when you put a story so integral and important to our history out and then it gets consumed by people in a way that, and you can't control it, in a way that it feels like just another day for them. You get what I'm saying? Like imagine a movie or a TV show or an animation that is about a very important subject matter that you know you spend hours, you spend days, you spend weeks, months and years living through it or researching it or whatever the case may be. You're enveloped in it, and then in the course of maybe a couple of weeks or maybe a month, depending on the longevity of its popularity, it gets dissected in every which way possible. And, you know, and sometimes it misses the mark for a lot of people. And that's not really a fault of the writer or the director or the creator themselves. Sometimes people just aren't at the capacity to truly understand what's in front of them, you know? And we saw that going back to Sinners. We saw that with Sinners. We saw that as soon as it became more widespread, you started to see the message and the artistry become diluted by weird conspiracy theories or just poor literacy, media literacy. That word's been going around for like 2 years now on TikTok. That's the first time I've probably said it in a while, but there's a lack of comprehension there, and it's something that I just, it makes, I can't find the words, y'all, but it just makes me feel weird. And even more so when I'm the one creating that particular story, when I'm the one creating something that is based on a heavy, powerful event that has changed the lives of myself and the people around me. And I want to talk about Unit 333. I want to talk about mental health as part of this whole theme. So for those who are new here, Unit 333 was and is a series that I created that was based on my time institutionalized after trying to, I'm trying to use YouTube safe words here and phrases, but I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. I tried to self-delete a few years ago. And from that horror came Unit 333, a story about a man who is in this extra dimensional psych ward, and he's trying to escape and also find himself literally and metaphorically at the same time. And it also touches on the mistreatment that Black people experience within these places and within these institutions. Seeing firsthand how folks were treated was just, it was a lot. It was a lot. I don't want to get too deep into it because I don't want to, kind of retread those emotions again. Not that I'm going to like lose it or anything, but I don't want to focus on that specific series of events. Just want to talk about what inspired it and how where I am now is much different. I'm going to take just give me a second. I have these ginger chews. Honestly, I ain't gonna hold you. They need to sponsor me because I eat these all the time. They're good for my throat. You might hear me like unwrapping the wrapper. Just give me 1 second. It's, for some reason I can't open it. They get finicky sometimes. All right, here we go. I think I got it. There we go. Sorry. So Unit 333 was in my eyes, a massive success. I was able to create an exhibition, a pop-up exhibition, a graphic novel, and a series of work, a body of work that represented all the things that I experienced and what I saw through the eyes of other people at the same time. And that exhibition, that first time coming out of that experience and being in the public eye and sharing that vulnerability was one of the most powerful moments and one of the most memorable moments of my life. I was surrounded by people who understood what was going on and people who wanted to understand what was going on. And what started out as an exhibition turned into a public forum for Black people to truly take the layers off. I'll say it that way, take the layers off. A lot of people were sharing, a lot of the attendees shared their stories about themselves, about their loved ones, and there were tears, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful, and that's something that I'll never forget, and that's something that I'll always be grateful for. That one moment, that one night, at Heads Up Barbershop. Shout outs to them. Shout outs to O. Shout outs to Mark for letting me host that there. I chose the barbershop because in the Black community, right? If you're not Black, that's why I'm saying this. In the Black community, the barbershop is the hub, the safety hub for Black men to go and, be vulnerable, be themselves, and talk about whatever without the scrutiny of the world, without the weight of the world, without the weight of their life crushing down on them, for however long they're in there, So that's why I chose, and I thought that was a beautiful thing, that they allowed me to do that, and they understood, as they say, they understood the assignment, And since then, a lot of people, when I did that, a lot of people gravitated towards me for many different reasons, for a number of reasons. And it was like there was an extra bit of responsibility that I started to feel that I never felt before. There was a sense of, or there was a weight that I wasn't expecting to carry when I shared this story, when Unit 333 came out, when I started to talk about it more. I didn't know what to expect because it's not something you just do every day. You know what I mean? Like the whole scenario and leading up to Unit 333's creation, that's not something you just do every day, like walking. You know what I mean? So I didn't expect it was going to. I wasn't expecting what would come after. And I remember like people wanted to talk with me privately. They expected me to do like some sort of, like, I remember one time somebody had hit me up and was like, you should call so-and-so because they're going through something. And as much as I would have liked to have been that person, it just, first of all, I didn't like being signed up for something that I didn't already agree to or was aware of. Not to be mean, but like we all have very limited capacity, and my capacity, especially around that time, was very limited as well. It was just a lot to take in, because I just wanted to share the story, but I wasn't expecting that level of attention in that way, to kind of just retread that same the story over and over and over and over and over again. That's not something that I was thinking about, and that's something I should have been aware of. That's something I should have like realized. Like, oh, if I'm gonna talk about this thing, I'm probably gonna have to talk about this for the rest of my life, or be like the poster boy for this, this event. I'm trying to again use YouTube safe words and phrases so that you can pick up what I'm putting down, but also that I don't get the video demonetized, because we're trying to, get this channel up and going in terms of income. But it was a lot to take in, but that died down over time, and I was able to explore other things, which was great. Because when I was making that, when I made Unit 333, it was fresh out. You know what I'm saying? It was fresh out of the institution. So it was just like I was pouring I was burying my soul onto the paper. I was bearing all the emotion into the drawing. I was just releasing everything. It just went from me onto there, and it transferred the energy, but the energy never disappeared, because that's how energy works, right? It can neither be destroyed, or it can't be destroyed. Yeah, at the end of the day, it cannot be destroyed. So with that in mind, like there was always kind of like a reticence to Unity, even though I was posting it, even though I was talking about it, there was always like a bit of a resistance or a reticence. Is that the right word I'm looking for? When it came to me approaching the series, because it has an energy around it. Something exists outside of me that lives within Unit 333. And I believe all of what it is the trauma and depression and the sorrow and all that stuff that existed. And it's an entity that lives with it. And I had this idea years later, because again, I put it down and I explored other things, or I was trying to explore other things, which I did. It was great. I created a bunch of different other series and drawings and characters and whatnot. Sweaty Minds is, one of those new things. So I put it down for a while, and I had this idea that I wanted to go back to the story and do it properly, because I wasn't satisfied with the way it looked. I wasn't satisfied with the pacing of the comic. I wasn't satisfied with the narrative as a whole, because like I said, when I first made it, it was fresh out of that experience. It was fresh out of the institution. So my mind was in a whole different state, right? And I was like, my talent is a lot better than it was back then. I can draw a lot better than I did back then. I can write a lot better than I did back then. I have a clearer mind. I have a clearer head. I'm no longer in that space, that head space. I'm not having any ideation, none of that stuff, right? I said, I want to revisit this. I want to dive into the world of horror and really flesh this idea out into something that could be really great, like a big deal, something that could live outside of me in a way where it probably wouldn't fester around like the original did, in that way of like I had to like just go away from it. So I spent like maybe 6 years to a month working on the concept and the art and putting stuff out. If you were around me around that time, you probably saw Unit 333 like every 5 seconds. It was like a whole thing. That was like the main product. That was the main project. That's what I meant to say. That was the main project for 6 months to a year, just me working on that. It was like the animated teaser came out. Then I started putting out the illustrations. Each one came with a story or like some kind of blurb, because that's what I like to do. When I put something out, I want to have some sort of, lore behind whatever's going on in the photo. I just think it's fun. And people were really getting into it. I was trying to bring it everywhere I was going. So like I think this is 2024. It might have been 2024, it might have been 2023. I can't remember anymore. But I was at this event, Black Summer Market, with Taji Mad magazine at Nicholas Brooklyn is on Fulton. And it was basically like I was selling my work, I was vending or whatever, and I brought Unit 333 with me there. And just like was telling that story and whatnot. If I was going on interviews, whether they were like video interviews or written interviews, I would talk about Unit 333. Like I was promoting it heavy, like it was going to be like the big thing. It's coming soon. Boom. Big series, because I was really excited to dive into cosmic horror, the stuff that you would see in, what's that guy's name? The racist guy. What's that guy's name? H.P. Lovecraft, like stuff like that, really surreal and foreboding, ethereal, those kinds of vibes. I was really inspired by like excuse me, David Lynch, Twin Peaks, that sort of vibe. If you played Alan Wake or Control, dipping into, brutalism when it came to the architecture. I was just like studying different things to kind of flesh out what Unit 333 was, and I was calling it Unit 333 Reveries. And I called it that specifically because the word reverie is kind of like a recurrence, something that comes up in your memory, something that comes back up. Not necessarily to traumatize you, but it's just something that is just a recurring idea, a recurring concept, a shadow of what was and what could be, or what will be, And you know me, like I'm very like methodical, and I like to. Well, some of you may know me. I'm very methodical and thought out. So like I was trying to, get some certain things in place, like getting people to do voiceovers. Like in the original run, I paid somebody to do a theme, and I was working on my own music. Because I during COVID, I bought a little music device called a Launch Key Mini, and I was like, I want to make my own music because I don't want to. First of all, it's hard to find people to make the music that I'm looking for. Secondly, it costs a lot of money to pay those people and also license the music, because the way it works, you can have somebody make the track, but to outright own the track, the license to the track, that's another fee on top of the initial commission. And I'm like, I don't have bread like that, And I thought I can probably try my hand at making my own music. I always felt musically inclined, so I was trying to make music. I wasn't trying to. I was making music, which you can hear. There's 2 animations up right now of Unit 333 that you can hear the music in, and not to mention, again, like I'm methodical, so I'm trying to do everything. I'm making animation now. I'm animating. I'm trying to do like these little videos. Just giving glimpses into the world of Unit 333. The animations were like maybe a minute and 30 seconds long, something like that. Because I am still learning. I'm still practicing and still trying to see what I'm capable of in that medium. So we were going full speed ahead with this thing, and I was still talking about mental health. I was still talking about my mental health. I was still talking about Black men's mental health, Black people as a whole. That was just like my whole thing that I was campaigning for, regardless of whether I was doing Unit 333 or not. And I had I had this goal in mind to showcase Unit 333 again. It wouldn't be in the same capacity because that was a different time and that was just like lightning in a bottle. But I wanted to somewhere, some way, somehow present this new body of work and present Unit 333 Reveries to the world, and just kind of reinforce that that conversation of mental health in the Black community. So luck would have it that somebody I knew, I think I don't know if she volunteered or she was just close with some of the people. She lives on Roosevelt Island, Michelin Hess. Shout outs to her for looking out for me in that moment. Riva Gallery was like literally downstairs from where she lived, and she was putting on a show. And she asked me. I was one of the few artists that she asked to come through and pull up for their Black History Month exhibition. And I was like, this is a perfect opportunity for me to present Unit 333. And you're probably sitting there wondering, like, what does Unit 333 have to do with Black history? First of all, we are as collectively as we are Black history. We're a Black present, but mental health is also part of Black history too. I was like, this is a great opportunity to talk about that there as well. So I had two pieces in mind, and I got them printed and framed and had them up at the show, which was phenomenal. Like, hold on, let me rewind. It was phenomenal that I was able to do that in an actual established gallery. Unfortunately, the show wasn't that great. Everything leading up to the show was just kind of, I'll be for real, like, it was tacky. I've worked with other, curators and gallerists before, and this was not. It was not done well, and it has nothing to do with Michelin. I don't want to put that on her. I just think that the gallery is a little bit out of touch because it's run by a bunch of old people, and most of them are white. And I just felt like the way they ran it, and the way they put it together was just, it felt like it was just rushed. Like they were just like, excuse me. They was like, let me just get it out the way. Let me just make this thing for Black History Month. We just get this out the way and move on, because they didn't promote the show. They didn't really advertise it on Instagram, and they didn't really stay in touch with us on how the show was going to be set up or anything like that. Like, I wasn't able to, like, I dropped off the art, but I wasn't able to see like where it was going to be hung up and how it was going to be hung up. There were no meetings between the gallery and the artist at all. No communication. Michelin was trying, but it just was not flying. I was trying to rhyme, but and yeah, it was just a mixed bag. And the show probably was the shortest one there. That exhibition was probably the shortest one there because they got us out, I think, before Black History Month ended, like maybe a week or two early, because somebody else had paid to be in the gallery to showcase their body of work, which was like, okay, damn, that's why I felt like it. That's why I said it felt like, let's just get this out of the way. So I say all that to say, like, that was annoying. But what really clicked for me, with Unit 333 Reveries and talking about mental health, and me realizing that I probably need to leave this alone, at least for now. This video is brought to you by the generous contributions of viewers like you. Head over to patreon.com/habtunes for more details, and consider joining today for just $1 a month. Was the fact that, I don't know if I mentioned that, again, this is just free flowing thought, so my bad if I didn't mention, like, if the video's not titled I'm leaving Unit 333 behind, then I apologize. But the reason why I dropped it, because a lot of people were wondering, because I did not want to be, I don't think I was ready, and I did not want to be the face of this whole thing again, because it comes with a lot of probing questions. It comes with a lot of discussion. It comes with a lot of opinions and unsolicited advice. And that's one of my pet peeves. I hate unsolicited advice, bro. Like, if there's one thing that you wanted to do to piss me all the way off, unsolicited advice. So anyway, it was overwhelming, because, again, these were people that are new to me. They're being introduced to me for the first time, so there was a lot of questions, and I realized it was like, damn, I don't think I'm over all of what happened, and I don't think I'm ready to have these conversations right now. And it felt like what I said with Sinners, where you put something out and you can't really control how people react to it or consume it, but it felt like I was in this fishbowl, this zoo, where people were just kind of like examining and cross-examining me, and it didn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. On top of the fact that I didn't want to exploit black mental health for gain of personal gain, right? Like, I do want to be successful. I do, excuse me. I do want to make money from my work, and I do want Unit 333 to be a series, right? Like a full-fledged series in different aspects and different mediums, be it animation, film, comic, etc., etc. But I didn't want it to be a thing where it seemed like I was using it to get clout, because there was some dude a lot of people were talking about recently on YouTube, and I forgot to get the name and research the guy myself. But from what I gleaned from the little I saw, there was some gentleman, black dude around my age, who also went through a really rough time and was about to do the same thing I was going to do. And he created a whole platform on this, which is fine. Creating a platform on a serious issue is absolutely fine. Unfortunately, people came to find out that he was just doing too much. He was ODing with it, where it was kind of like he kept going back and forth and saying like, "Oh, I was about to, myself again," like that kind of thing. It was just like a lot of it. I don't even know what word to use, but he was like a snake oil salesman. You know what I mean? That's the vibe I was getting from the videos that I saw, the commentary I saw about this gentleman. And I'm like, I don't want this to be a commodity. I don't want this to be something that, like, yes, like I said, I want it to be a series, but I don't want it to be something that is just like just another thing. Because look at what happened with Squid Game. It's just another thing, and people got tired of it, and then it's like no one cares anymore, right? It devalues. I don't want to devalue the conversation of mental health. I don't want to devalue what I went through, and I don't want to make it seem like it's just some frivolous, everyday thing. I don't know if I'm making sense. So I realized that, and I said, I gotta stop. The time is not now, right? Even people I knew personally were fiending to see, Unit 333, but I felt like they were fiending to see it for the wrong reasons. And that it pissed me off, because it was like I was putting out, because at the time I was also putting out other work that I thought was equally good, if not better, than Unit 333, and like they didn't pay any mind, and they were just hyper focused on Unit 333 reveries. Somebody would hit me up and be like, "Oh, how's the horror comic going or whatever? How's Unit 333?" I'm just like, I'm not doing that right now. And it wouldn't be the first time that particular person or other people would do that. And it's just like, I get it. This is something that y'all are interested in, but I don't think people understand the weight that this brings and what challenges this will bring up for me as a person. So I just dropped it. I dropped it because it's a lot, it's a lot to think about. It's a lot to process. And writing a full graphic novel takes so much time and so much out of you that you are exhausted mentally. Like, it started to affect me again, not in the ideation type of way, but like my body was like stressed, full of anxiety on top of the other stuff that was going on in my life. It was just like a bad combination. So I had to stop it. I had to. Because if I had not, I probably would have worn myself out. We see this happen all the time. As a side note, we see this happen all the time in the Japanese cartoon and comic industry. A lot of these creators, these artists, they wear their bodies down to get this thing out, and then some of them end up I was going to say generating, but catching diseases. I can't find the right word. Yo, words be slipping me sometimes, y'all. Y'all forgive me. But like, yo, like the dude, there was like some dude, I can't remember nobody's name, but the gentleman who created Hunter x Hunter, he ended up getting sick because he was stressing himself out and wasn't even paid well. Akira Toriyama also had a condition. It most likely was from drawing all of Dragon Ball and the other works he put out. And they're not the only examples. I believe even Hayao Miyazaki had a condition not too long ago, but he's better now. And this is just something that permeates the industry as a whole, not just in Japan. That's just an example, but it's all over. And I don't want to be that person that has some sort of inflicted affliction from creating. That's bad. That goes to show that like the art that you create can affect you, and how you create can affect you. Right? I'm trying to get my health back in order, and I don't want to add any more stress to my body than already is, right? This is why I stopped Unit 333 and switched over to Sweaty Minds. Even though Sweaty Minds does touch on some very poignant topics in politics and culture, it's a lot more lighthearted and easier to do than a full graphic novel and animated series and illustrations that just are seeped in our favorite word, trauma. So as of right now, it's on pause, but I do see myself coming back to it maybe at a later time, maybe next year, maybe in 2027, who knows. But I do not want to just throw it away, because I feel like it's still an important story to tell. It's still something that I feel would be a great work to have in the Black culture zeitgeist, you know. Because I have a lot of ideas for it and things that I want to do with it that I don't think we've seen a Black person do before, a Black artist do before, period. So yeah, Unit 333 is on pause right now, though you will see some of the characters every now and again in different areas. There's 2 characters now in Sweaty Minds, and we might see them in other spaces and places, but the comic as a whole and the animation and all that stuff, I had to stop. And it begs the question again. It's like, does art that gets celebrated have to come from suffering? Because I felt like that was putting me in a spotlight that was great, but did it have to be Unit 333 first? Think about all of the artists that we know in different areas of the industry, the creative industry, whether it's music, whether it's film. Think about all the Black artists that you know, the writers, the dancers. Why does all of what we create only get the accolades, the Oscars, the awards, when it's something that comes from pain, our history, that they always tell us to forget about, that they always say it's, oh, that was 400 years ago, that was 500 years ago, that was whenever, forget about it, you know. Yet they love it. They feed off of it. Remember, there was like a string of just like slave movies for a long time. You remember that? So like, why does it have to be that way? I don't have the answer for that. We could say for certain reasons why it could be, but like beyond the obvious reason, right? Why is that a thing? And I'm ever so grateful that so many of us are stepping out of that trauma infused practice. I'm so grateful that we're able to see wonderful things without the need to hang a dark cloud over it. Abbott Elementary is a phenomenal show written by a phenomenal black woman. We have the Spider-Verse films, which are, I would say, the most beautifully animated film, the best looking animated films I've ever seen in my entire life. And that's like no ifs, ands, or buts about that. No other film is touching how good that looks. I don't care what you say or who you like. You know what I'm saying? I am so elated that we have shows on major networks like Iyanu on Cartoon Network. We have My Dad the Bounty Hunter on Netflix, you know, Intergalactic on Netflix as well. A black love story, not rooted in trauma or daddy issues or mommy issues or whatever issues. It just exists as is. That's what I would love for black art to exist as in perpetuity, indefinitely, eternally, existing as is. Because what else why else would we need to double down on so many harsh stories? Like, they do exist, things are happening all the time, but like, I didn't watch that Tyler Perry joint, but it looked too much. It looked pretty heavy. It looked like it would drain you after watching it. What was that movie called? God, I can't remember the name of it. Started with an S, but Taraji P. Henson is in it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And it's like, I'm glad he's doing stuff that's not Madea, you know, even though Madea can be fun. And I know there's other things going on with Tyler right now, but I just bring him up as an example of someone else that like creates things in particular ideologies or who stepped out and started to do other things. That movie, just the clips I saw, just looking at Taraji P. Henson's character, the poster, the face, I was just like, damn, bro, this looks heavy as hell. And we just sit there and just eat that, you know? And that's another aspect to this whole thing. It's like, whether we believe it or not, when we listen to things, when we watch things, whatever we put into our bodies affects us. Not just the food, it's the things that we entertain ourselves with. So if you are entertaining yourself with trauma, if you're entertaining yourself with suffering all the time, you're gonna feel heavy. Your body's gonna weigh on you. Your mental is not gonna be okay. Like, we've become desensitized to a lot of stuff, yo, and it's wild. So that's why I'm trying to celebrate more joy and just bring more fun to whatever I'm doing. Again, it's important to talk about those serious issues, but I think wrapping it up in some sort of humor can mitigate some of that weight, or you know, just finding different ways and different avenues to express our that pain, you know. I feel like I'm talking all over the place, but I just wish that, because now I'm thinking about all of the when you think about the contemporary art space when it comes to museums and galleries, like, a lot of the times, a lot of what you see, even with like grants and awards and residencies, they want you to dance in your pain to be seen. They want you to perform for them and get up and make a video talking about how hard you had it growing up or how hard things are now. And you know, someone has to watch that and be like, oh, this isn't sad enough. We need a blacker and sadder story. You know what I'm saying? These white organizations, they will exploit you for that. They'll give you the money, but it's like, at what cost? At what cost? Because now you got a video sitting on somebody's hard drive somewhere of you sobbing your eyes out talking about X, Y, and Z. that they probably look at. You don't even know what these people do with this stuff. They probably look at that over and over again on some weird, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, why do we have to resort to that to get grant funding or get opportunities to be exhibited in the finest institutions around the world? You know, I remember seeing something from Rashid Johnson. I think it was Rashid Johnson at the Bowery Museum, and that was a heavy trauma infused work of art. You know, and you see this across this spectrum, across this space, from the big names like Rashid Johnson and Amy Sherrill to, you know, smaller folks and the micro folks as well. And I brought up Amy Sherrill. Her work is more outside of that spectrum, but I just brought her up because that was the first person I thought of because I just saw her exhibition at the Whitney. Y'all, yo, that was amazing. Just a real quick tangent. I'm starting to host a series of meetup events for Black artists to go to museums. I think it's time that we really show folks that Black people are not monolithic and we can be seen in different spaces outside of what we are known to be seen in, you know. And it was great. It was a blast. 2 people showed up, but we had a blast. You know what I'm saying? The 3 of us was vibing the whole day. We ate food, we laughed, we got into some deep conversation, we enjoyed the art. It was a vibe. The next one's happening next month, and I'll have the information out for that later. That was just a quick tangent. Amy Sherrill is amazing. I would love to meet her and sit down and have a conversation because she's a brilliant artist. Anyway, but we see this happen across this contemporary art space. Even when I got my grants, the grants I've received in the past, it was due to me talking and expressing pain that I've suffered as a Black man in America. And it's like, this feels weird. Like, in hindsight, it's mad weird to do that. Why can't someone just get a grant because they're just trying to strive to be a better them, or they need the funding to, you know, support a really cool project they're putting together. Maybe they're trying to put out a mural of some colorful, fun characters. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. Why does it have to be like, oh, look, here's another? And this is no disrespect to any victim of police violence or domestic abuse, but oh, here's another so and so because they got murked by the cops, or here's this woman that was, you know, unalived by her partner. Like, why does it have to be that? You know what I'm saying? And I know we're not talking about Kehinde Wiley as much anymore due to his incidents in recent years, but a lot of his work brought that nuance and joy to the contemporary art space. Just these massive, colorful, floral, majestic paintings of Black men and women in different scenarios that, you know, are atypical. Same thing with Toyin Adatula. She illustrated and painted Black folks in opulence. Opulence, is that the word I'm looking for? And it was amazing. Same thing with Amy Sherrill. But that's rare because all the other stuff you see is always somebody suffering or in pain. And we need to change that and we need to stop that. Again, I'm not saying we have to eradicate all stories that revolve around that subject because that's important. That's part of our history, and it's important to pass that on to the generations that will come after us and to the people that are here now so that we can all have a mutual understanding of things. But when that's one of the main proponents of our artistry, that kind of raises an eyebrow. When it's celebrated more than the other things that are going on, it raises an eyebrow. Because people say all the time, it's like, oh, I'm tired of seeing Black trauma stories. I'm tired of seeing these stereotypes and whatever. It's because that's what's promoted. The other things do exist. It's out there. I'm a prime example of that. I have colleagues who create stories that are not in that realm, but it's not. People love pain. we're drawn to that. It's weird. Like look at the what do you call it? What do you call it? God, what is that? What is that genre of TV called? With the people that are real reality TV. My God, what's wrong with me? uh, look at reality TV, right? It's a terrible, terrible world, a terrible practice. That's why I don't watch it anymore. I used to, but it's a terrible, horrible, repugnant genre of TV and entertainment. To sit there and watch people damn near lose their minds because they're being manipulated by the executives and writers and producers to fight each other, to have drama, to have unnecessary bouts of physical and mental sparring, just for the sake of some clicks and possibly a bunch of content creators talking about it for the next 6 months. I avoid, like, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. We're treating these people horribly, like whether it's Love Island or Everyday Fiance, 90 Day Fiance, or any of these other like shows that are out there. It's disgusting. And I see people complain about it, but yet they still watch it. That's a whole different video for a different day. But it's just like, we got to get out of this. We got to get out of this ideology, this spectrum, this world of pain, suffering, and sorrow. It's not good for our mental health. It's not good for us. It's not good for our people. You know, I just feel that if I work hard enough and collaborate with people like Alicia Renese, who promote a lot of positive scenarios, positive narratives, and positive art, positive leaning, positive focus art. I keep saying that word positive, right? I think we can possibly turn things around. I think it's possible. I think it's doable. It's not going to happen overnight, but I think if we can just incrementally bring in some joy and bring in some of that fun that we've been used to for so long, that we haven't been used to for so long, that childlike wonder, the you know, I can't find the words, but you remember like when you used to wake up and you were excited about the world and you would like watch Scooby-Doo or something. That's that kind of feeling that everybody should have, no matter their age, no matter where they're from. There's too much going on in this world, in this country and around the globe, for us to be also consuming negativity as entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Easier said than done, but I think it's possible. I really do. So I want you to sit with this. I want you to sit with this question. Does art have to come from a place of trauma or suffering? And if you have a journal, maybe you can write about it. Or if you want to comment, you can comment about it too. But I want us to really sit and think with that and figure out and think of ways to navigate around that. And promote the things that we're always wanting to see. We keep complaining, but we're not making the change. We have to make the change. And I'm doing that with my own series of work, whether it's Sweaty Minds or Epic Ethel or the random assortment of characters that I draw, or the video games that I play, or the shows that I talk about, Like, damn, even Doctor Who, even Doctor Who, you feel me? Like, as soon as we got the Black Doctor, and this sucks because I wish they would have had some Black writers in the room, and I don't think they did. But when Ncuti Gatwa came on, and he was the 15th Doctor, I was excited. We got this cool, suave, charismatic Black man as the lead role to one of the most popular sci-fi shows in the world. And they botched it, bro. They ruined it. It was so bad. Like the episodes that they touched on, quote unquote, Black trauma, they just missed the mark. They missed it by 1,000 miles. Dot and Bubble. If you watch Doctor Who, Dot and Bubble. Remember that one. That's the worst episode of the whole entire reboot. I'm not going to get into that because that's not what this episode is about specifically. But like, even with that, it just felt off and weird and just out of place and out of touch, you know. So I don't know what else to say or talk about at this point. I feel like I rambled enough. Let me know what y'all feel or think about this new format. I definitely want to continue doing this. It felt nice to just kind of sit here and just talk. Um, and I like that this could be something that you can just, again, you can listen to while you're jogging or walking or whatever the case may be, without having to like hold your phone or be staring up at something or bending your neck down to look at your phone, because that's bad. We need to stretch, y'all. We need to stretch. um but expect new episodes every week. I'm thinking after this one, every episode after will be on Sundays, except when I have an episode of Habbo Speaks, which will be once a month now. So the Art Block episode, the X episode of the Art Block, we'll be talking about. God, I don't even know yet, but Azalea Banks is on my mind. Kanye West is on my mind. Drake is on my mind. Just different entities. Nicki Minaj, different musical entities that are massive but also problematic. And how Black culture doesn't let people go because, for the most part, we're taught that's all we have, right? Like, think about Bill Cosby, think about R. Kelly, think about Chris Brown. There's so many people, so many people that still latch on to them, regardless of their actions, regardless of whether they've repented or not, regardless of anything. You know, they still have diehard fans in the Black community defending them. Even recently with Diddy, but I'm not going to get into that now. That'll be next week, unless something else pops up and I want to talk about that. Or I can do both. You know, we can be multi-passionate and multi-dimensional and multi-everything, as Alicia Renese said. I brought her up again because I want y'all to go look her up and check out her channel, because she's just, I love her. She's amazing. But yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you all for watching. Like I said, new episodes every Sunday, probably around like 1 or 12 or 1 p.m. And make sure you just, follow me on everything else. But I hope you really sit with what we talked about today, or what I talked about today, and I hope it resonated with you. If it did, if it didn't, I'm sorry. I'll try better next time. And I really hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. This is going up on a Wednesday. I'm recording. It's 1:04 a.m. right now. Tuesday just ended, so I'm recording this mad late. But anyway, I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday and a wonderful rest of your week. And yeah, until next time, stay true, stay you. We out.